EIGRP neighborship in NXOS. In this video, I am going to show you how we can configure EIGRP in NXOS. In this video, the focus on the configuration of EIGRP, not on the concept of EIGRP. If you need to learn about the EIGRP concept, you should watch the EIGRP in iOS video. Okay, let me start the configuration of EIGRP in NXOS. In this scenario, we have two switches, NXOS1, NXOS2, that is connected with one directly connected link. And also, we need to configure EIGRP in this scenario. For configuring the EIGRP, the first command is to enabling this feature on the, for example, NXOS switch. Look at here, show feature. Show us that we didn't enable the EIGRP because this feature now is disabled. Now after that we can configure the EIGRP. First we should enable the EIGRP. With the feature EIGRP, maybe you need to have the enterprise service license or some other license, but after that you will have the EIGRP commands. Look at switch 2. In switch 2, I didn't enable the EIGRP feature. Because of that, for example, when I'm going to use the router EIGRP, I don't have the command of EIGRP because this feature doesn't available for me. Okay, let me start with the configuration of switch A. Now feature EIGRP is enabled on this switch, the switch 1. The first command for configuring the EIGRP is router EIGRP a tag. You know that for configuring EIGRP in iOS, we can configure router EIGRP AS number or router EIGRP name. In NXOS, you should use a tag such as the name, router EIGRP tag, and tag can be up to for example 20 characters. Let me start with this command, router EIGRP. Then the tag can be any for example tag, and this is not important to using the same tag in the switch 1 and switch 2. You can use different tag, but it's better to use the same tag. Okay, router EIGRP, for example Arash. This is the tag of my company. After that, you know that in EIGRP, one of the neighborship conditions is to have the, for example, same autonomous system. The first thing that you should configure here is the autonomous system of your company. Let me configure it here. Autonomous system. Autonomous system is a unique number for every company. You can use every number between 1 to 65,535. But don't forget that this autonomous system should be same between the switch 1 and switch 2. Let me configure the autonomous system as 1 in this scenario. Okay, and after that you should enable the address family of IPv4 or IPv6 with sub address family of unicast. In this scenario, I'm going to use the IPv4. Because of that, I'm using this command, address family IPv4 unicast. That's it. This is the important configuration we need to do. After that, the mandatory commands that we should do is the enabling EIGRP on the interfaces. You can configure router ID, metric version, log-adjacency, and other commands. But here, the first things that I'm going to show you is the necessary command to using the EIGRP. Until now, we use the necessary commands for enabling the EIGRP process, and then we should go to the interfaces and configuring the interfaces. Let me start with the NXOS1 in the interface ETH2.1. The first thing is that we should first disable the switch port and enabling the routed port on this interface, and then we should assign IP address to this interface 10.121/24, enabling this interface. Now we can enable EIGRP on this interface with the command IP router EIGRP tag, not IP EIGRP tag, IP router EIGRP tag. IP router EIGRP. Which tag I used? I used the tag Arash, router EIGRP Arash, IP router EIGRP Arash. This is the tag. And this is the configuration of EIGRP on the ETH2.1. We have Also one loopback interface loopback 0 with the IP address of the quad 1/32. Let me to enable EIGRP on this interface with the command IP router EIGRP, for example, Arash. That's it. This is the configuration of EIGRP on the switch A, hostname switch A. Now, if you want, you can check the enabling EIGRP on the interfaces with the show IP EIGRP interface. If you use show IP EIGRP interface, it shows to us all of the interfaces with for example, all of the details. Look at here, show IP EIGRP interface. If you need to see a brief review over the interface that EIGRP is enabled on them, you can use show IP EIGRP brief, interface brief. Look at here. Now we can see that EIGRP is enabled on the ETH21 and also loopback 0, and it's okay. This is the first thing that we configured. We configured EIGRP on the interfaces of the switch 1, and we can go to the switch 2 to configuring the EIGRP. We don't have EIGRP neighborship until now. Show IP EIGRP neighbors. We don't have EIGRP neighborships. Why? You know that I configured only the switch 1. And also, one useful command is show running config EIGRP. Show running config EIGRP can show us the EIGRP configuration on the switch A. Router EIGRP Arash, autonomous system is 1. Address family IPv4 unicast enabled. Then on the interface loopback 0 and on the interface ETH21, I enabled the EIGRP. Let's go to the switch 2. In switch 2, we can first configure the IP addressing on the interfaces, interface ETH21 or with no switch port. After that, IP address 10.122/24, then no shutdown, which another interface is interface loopback 0. IP address, for example, the quad 2/32. Let's check the interfaces. Show IP interface brief. We have to enable the interface, and after that, for example, we can ping 10.121, the IP address of the switch 1. After some second, yes, we have connectivity. Let's go to configure the EIGRP. The first command is feature EIGRP, as I mentioned before. After that, after feature EIGRP, we should configure the EIGRP, router EIGRP. The name is not important, but I'm using the same name, router EIGRP Arash. The first command is autonomous system. You should use the same autonomous system between this switch for adjacency, autonomous system 1. And then you should enable the address family you need, address family IPv4 unicast. And finally, we should enable EIGRP on the interfaces Ethernet to 1 and loopback 0, interface Ethernet to 1, IP router EIGRP Arash, interface loopback 0, IP router EIGRP Arash. Okay, and then we can check the EIGRP on the interfaces. Show IP EIGRP interface brief. We enabled EIGRP on the interface of ETH21 and loopback 0. Now we can check the neighborship, starting from switch A. In switch B, let me to change the hostname switch B. In switch B, we can check the neighborship, and also in switch A. Starting from switch A, show IP EIGRP, okay, neighbor, and also you can use the, for example, neighbor over which interface or IP address, a specific IP address or detail. Show IP EIGRP neighbors, it's easier. We have the one neighbor, the neighbor address is 10.122 over the ETH21, and other parameters is same with the same with the iOS. If you need, you can use show IP EIGRP neighbor detail, and we have the same information with the iOS. Very good. And let me check the routing table of switch A with the show IP route EIGRP, which routes received with the EIGRP process name Arash. We received only one EIGRP routes quad 2/32 from the 10.122 over the ETH21 with the administrative distance of 19 with the metric of this number, and this route received on this for example time, and this is received from the this is learned with the EIGRP Arash, and this is the one internal route. That's it. This is the configuration of EIGRP in NixOS 1, and this